Have you ever been invisible? I don't mean ignored. I mean, have you ever stood in front of someone, a person with money, a person with power, and realized that to them, you are not a human being. You were just a tool. You were just a piece of furniture. Today's story is about a young man named Obinna. He was a first-class graduate, a genius, a man who should have been a CEO sitting at the head of the table, but life forced him to sit in the driver's seat. And it is the story of Stephanie, a billionaire dragon lady who thought she could buy people like she buys designer shoes. She treated him like a dog. She kicked him when he was down. But she made one fatal mistake. She didn't know that the man opening her car door held the secret that could save her entire empire. What happens when the slave becomes the master? Sit down, because the way the tables turn in this story, it will satisfy your soul.
Meet Obinna. 5 years ago, Obinna was the man of the year in his university. Best graduating student, business administration. He had dreams of wearing Italian suits and signing Million Naira checks. But the labor market in Lagos doesn't care about your certificate. Instead of a boardroom, Obinna found himself in the mud of Yaba Market. Every morning, the genius was shouting, "Auntie, buy jeans, not first grade." He was hungry. He was tired. His landlord was threatening to throw his things outside. Then, a lifeline appeared. His friend Lillian called him. "Obinna," she whispered, "there was a job. It pays 40K a week, but it is a driver job." Obinna's heart broke. A driver? After all those sleepless nights studying? After the first-class honors? But hunger has no pride. He swallowed his shame. He ironed his only white shirt, the one with the frayed collar, and he walked to the mansion in Lekki. He didn't know he was walking into a war zone.
Stephanie. She was the CEO of Vista Group. Young, beautiful, and absolutely heartless. When she saw Obinna at the gate, she didn't say hello. She didn't ask his name. She looked at his sheep shoes. She looked at the sweat on his forehead. She curled her lip in disgust. She threw the car keys at him. Clang, they hit the floor. "Pick them up," she commanded, "and don't dirty my leather seats." For 6 months, Obinna lived in hell. He became the invisible man. He drove her to high-class parties where he waited outside with the mosquitoes while she drank champagne inside. She would scream at him for driving too slow. She would scream at him for driving too fast. She treated him like he was stupid. She had no idea that the dummy in the front seat was smarter than her entire board of directors combined. But the turning point came on a rainy Tuesday. Traffic was locked down on the 3rd Mainland Bridge. No movement for hours. Stephanie was in the back seat, and she was having a meltdown. She had a presentation the next morning, the Ember Project. It was worth 850 million naira. If she lost it, her company was finished. She was reading the proposal her expensive team wrote, and it was trash. "No, no," she screamed, tearing the papers. "We are going to fail. This financial model is wrong. The bank will laugh at us." She buried her face in her hands and started sobbing, real, ugly tears. The dragon lady was just a scared girl.
Obinna looked in the rearview mirror. He knew the solution. He had heard her talking about it for weeks. He knew exactly why the model was failing. He cleared his throat. "Madam," she snapped her head up. "Who asked you to speak? Drive the car." "I can't drive, Ma. We're stuck," Obinna said calmly. "But I can fix your proposal." She laughed, a cruel, mocking laugh. "You, a driver? You fix a multi-million-dollar strategy? You pick up my dry cleaning, boy. Don't insult me." Obinna turned around. He looked her dead in the eye. "Madam, your team is calculating ROI based on local inflation. You need to index it against the dollar. Give me the laptop. 1 hour. If I fail, fire me." She was desperate. She gave him the laptop, and in 45 minutes, the driver saved her life. She won the contract. Obinna saved the company. For a few weeks, things were good. They laughed in the car. They ate lunch together. Obinna thought, finally, she respects me. My life is about to change. She sees me. Then came the gala, the victory party. Stephanie was wearing a gold dress, looking like a queen. Obinna drove her to the red carpet. He stepped out to open her door. The paparazzi flashed their cameras. A group of foreign investors walked up. "Stephanie, amazing job. And who is this handsome man? Is this your strategist?" This was the moment. All she had to do was say, yes. But she looked at the rich investors in their Italian suits. Then she looked at Obinna in his cheap, second-hand suit. She was ashamed of him. She laughed a fake laugh. "Oh, him? Oh, God, no," she waved her hand. "He is nobody. He is just the help, just the driver. Obinna, move away. You are blocking the photo." Obinna stood there, frozen. The smile died on his face. He realized the truth. He would never be her partner. To her, he would always be a servant.
That night, when he drove her home, he didn't open the door for her. He stood by the gate. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the silver keys. He dropped them in her hand. "What is this?" she asked. "I quit," Obinna said. "Don't be dramatic," she rolled her eyes. "I'll give you a bonus. Get in the car." And then Obinna dropped the line of the century. He said, "Madam, I can sell my labor, but I cannot sell my dignity. I am going to build my own kingdom, not just drive you to yours." He turned his back and he walked away into the darkness. Now, in the movies, when the hero walks away, he immediately becomes a billionaire. But this is real life, and real life is brutal. The night Obinna quit, he didn't go to a palace. He went back to a small, dark room in Mushin with no electricity. He sat on his thin mattress, staring at the ceiling. His stomach was rumbling. The 40K a week was gone. The AC was gone. His neighbors were shouting outside. A voice in his head whispered, "You are a fool. You should have swallowed your pride. At least a slave eats well." He applied for jobs. Sorry, no vacancy. He tried to start a business. Sorry, no capital. For 2 weeks, Obinna drank gari for dinner. He watched his friends driving keke just to survive. He was broken. He was tempted to call her, to beg, but he looked at his hands, the hands that built a strategy worth $850 million, and he clenched them into fists. He said, "No, I will not go back to Egypt. I will starve before I lose my respect."
Meanwhile, inside the Vista Group tower, chaos was breaking out. Stephanie thought Obinna was replaceable. She hired a new strategist, a guy with a posh accent, a fancy suit, and a master's degree from London. She thought, this is the kind of person I should work with, not a driver. But there is a difference between book theory and street intelligence. The new guy didn't understand the Nigerian market. During a crucial meeting with the bank to finalize the Ember project, the new guy froze. He couldn't answer the questions about the exchange rate risk. The bank manager stood up. "Stephanie, your numbers don't add up. We're pulling the loan." Stephanie panicked. She looked at the empty seat where Obinna usually sat. In her mind, she tried to wing it. She failed. The investors walked out. In 1 hour, the company's stock dropped by 15%. She went back to her office and screamed. She threw a glass vase against the wall. She realized that her posh replacement was useless. She needed the driver. But Stephanie, she was still proud. She wasn't ready to kneel yet. She thought she could buy him back. She sent her personal assistant to Obinna's house with a brown envelope. Inside was 2 million Naira cash, a bribe. The PA found Obinna washing his face outside his compound. "Madam wants you back," the PA said, holding out the money. "She said, take this bonus and resume tomorrow. Don't be stubborn." Obinna looked at the money. It was more than he had seen in years. It could pay his rent for 5 years. It could fix his life. All he had to do was take it and go back to being a boy. He took the envelope. The PA smiled. Then Obinna ripped it open.
He took the cash and he shoved it back into the PA's chest. "Go and tell your madam," Obinna said, his voice shaking with rage. "Tell her that my respect is not for sale. If she wants to talk to me, she shouldn't send a messenger, she should come herself." The PA ran away. When Stephanie heard this, she froze. She realized that money had no power over a man who had found his dignity. She realized she had to go into the mud herself. She had to make a choice, lose her empire or lose her pride. She drove herself to Yaba Market. Imagine a Rolls-Royce parking in the mud. She ran through the market, ruining her designer heels. "Obinna! Obinna!" She found him. He was back at his stall, sweating, selling jeans. She fell to her knees. Yes, the billionaire knelt in the dirt.
"I am sorry," she cried. "I was blind. Please come back. Not as a driver, as a partner, 50-50. Obinna looked down at her. He could have walked away. He could have laughed. But he pulled her up. "On one condition," he said. "Anything," she sobbed. He smiled. "You need to hire a new driver, because I am never sitting in that front seat again." Obinna went back. He runs the company now. And Stephanie, she learned the hardest lesson of her life. Today, they are partners in business and in life. But I have a question for you guys today. If you were Obinna, honestly, would you have forgiven her after she embarrassed you in public? After she tried to bribe you with 2 million Naira? Would you secure the bag? Or would you keep your pride and stay in the market? Let me know in the comments below. Never let your condition become your conclusion.